across the nation to defund the police.
To end policing as we know it.
Off the charts violence in New York City. 11 people shot in just 8 hours on
This is
Sunday.
about the police officers who every single day put on that uniform and they run towards danger when we run away from it.
Welcome to Night Shift Top Secrets Information. The show is brought to you by the Theorists Podcast channel. Theorists Podcast channel is the #1 channel where first responders go to be informed and entertained. We are but a branch. We are just a limb of the Theorists Podcast channel. We are our own thing. We are called Night Shift Top Secret Information, and my co-host and I have been tasked with the operation of diving in to the rabbit hole. And our objective is to keep you awake on the night shift. My name is Tansey, former special operations combat veteran and police officer. And I am joined with political commentator Anthony Raimondi. And every week we will be getting further and further into the rabbit hole with one goal in mind. And that's to keep you awake, alert, looking over your shoulder, tickling your paranoia just a little bit. Anthony, have you ever felt like you're being watched? Have you ever felt, my friend, as if you are in the Matrix?
Oh, always in the Matrix, always being watched. I say it every day. Every day. And I want to say welcome to everybody. It's great to be here with you, man.
This is cool, man. This is what we've been talking about for a while. We've been wanting to do something. We're both into conspiracies. We're both into the rabbit hole. We're into the paranoia, the scary. And I think this is going to be a fun year. This is going to be a year. I think season 1 is 6 months, and then season 2 will be 6 months. But we've got Halloween coming in the middle of this first season, so we're going to get into all the spooky stories. We got a lot of conspiracies and rabbit holes to dive down. So buckle in, stay awake, stay alert, and stay alive. Tonight we're covering the history because I figured, Anthony, that if you and I are going to go down this adventure, we have to know where it all starts, right?
Agreed.
We have to go back to the basics. Do you even know? Have you ever been called a conspiracy theorist?
Yeah, well, I think that all of the conspiracies that I thought I knew before have either come true or are more valid now than they were before. And like you and I have talked off camera about all of the different, like it goes into the paranormal stuff and also the government stuff. And then, we're being visited by aliens. So it's like, yeah, man, I've been called a conspiracy. I got a tinfoil hat I'm ready to put on for sure.
Ready to go, dog. Listen, do you know the definition of the word conspiracy?
No, why don't you tell us?
Well, the definition by Webster's, which I think has changed, and I couldn't find the original. I couldn't find like the 1995. You had to pay for it, so I didn't do that. But as it is written now, the definition is a secret plan by a group to do something unlawful or harmful. That is the definition by Webster as what a conspiracy is. Now, the definition of a conspiracy theory is, as it's written now, a belief that some secret but influential organization is responsible for an event or a phenomenon. Ooh, so I guess the first question that everybody always asks is, who is they? Who is the secret but influential organization? Well, I always like to say, follow the money. I think you follow the money, you follow the power. That is your they. But I think it's also important that if you are not a believer in the conspiracy theories, which, a 2006 nationwide survey indicated that in 2006 that 36% of people polled, which is a minority, right? Like that 36% is not the majority. That is definitely a minority, but it's a strong, I'd say that's a strong minority. 36% of people believed it very or somewhat likely that U.S. leaders had either allowed 9/11 to happen or actively plotted the attacks. even further, conspiracy theorists, the conspiracies about the John F. Kennedy's assassination are a minority taste. They're not minority at all. After 40 years, 70%. This was a poll done by ABC. ABC's no slouch. They're no slouch.
Right.
They know what's up. 70% of the people polled in the country believe that there was a conspiracy behind JFK's death. So people believe these things. A lot of people.
There's so much to unpack. And I feel like there's more validity now in these things that you just mentioned than there was before. Like, think about the September 11th conspiracy alone. I mean, people for years have been talking about this. Nobody knows that recently the case, the September 11th case just got reopened. Like, they started to do investigations on September. Just read it today. I'm going to have to pull that up for you guys. If I find it today, I will post it on our socials. But that, along with the JF Kennedy situation, where you're looking at the current president of the United States not giving security detail to one of the Kennedys that's running for office, denied Secret Service. Why? Because you didn't protect his father? Maybe. I don't know.
It sounds like
spooky.
the rabbit hole. It sounds like we're getting closer to the rabbit hole as we even speak.
Already.
We might be going down the rabbit hole. We didn't even know we'd found it yet.
Right.
But yes, the government has always had their hand in things, and whether you want to believe it. Now, listen, if you're a person out there, and we are a politically biased yet somewhat unbiased podcast here, but if you are someone who doesn't believe in any conspiracies, well, I hope we can change your mind, because conspiracies do in fact happen, and they are real. I like to bring up the one MK Ultra. We know that MK Ultra happened, right? That was the CIA testing LSD and hallucination drugs. We know that was real. That's not a theory. That's a conspiracy fact. How about this one? Did you know this conspiracy that in the 30s, you remember Prohibition, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know about Prohibition, 18th Amendment, 1920. Prohibition, it banned the manufacture, sale of alcohol, but it did not ban the consumption. I always thought that was weird about that you could consume it, but you couldn't buy it, sell it, or make it. Interesting the way the laws were written back then. But despite the government's effort, alcoholism was actually on the rise due to Prohibition, and the bootlegger thing came around. But by mid-1927, what was going on was that alcohol that was manufactured for like legal use, rubbing alcohols, paint thinners, and things like that, they have really dangerous chemicals in them that can make you sick. So you couldn't just go to the local hardware store and consume these alcohols, because they have methanol in them. And I know a little bit about methyl alcohols because I own a distillery, and I was a distiller in my distillery for a better half of 4 years. So I know a little bit about methyl alcohol, but people were smart during Prohibition, smarter than the government. And so what they would do was they would rectify and redistill or get the methyl alcohols out due to other chemical processes and chemistry, that they were able to remove the methyl alcohols. So in 1927, this really happened. You want to say they, right? Like everybody wants to say, who is they? Well, the federal government went in and teamed up with these massive producers of alcohol, and they added more than 10% of methyl alcohol to trick them, because they would only distill to get rid of 10%. So they added more than 10%, but they also added other poisonous chemicals other than methyl alcohols, and killed nearly, now the government says 700, but there are other reports that say 10,000 people were poisoned to death.
I'm going with that
from
number.
1926 to 1927 during this.
I would go with that number.
The 10,000.
If the government gives you a number, you go with the bigger number.
So that really happened.
Yeah.
That really
and the reason why I say this real quick, not to get off track, but with that number, just think about. So I witnessed it firsthand here with Hurricane Ian last year. they report a number of people missing, right? And as locals, we know for sure that that number's tripled. Look at the same thing that's going on in Maui right now. Why do they lie? Why do they want you to think that it's less? Why are you in search and rescue mode for 2 weeks? Bro, we know that it's 2 weeks. You're in search and rescue? Come on.
I'd like to tell you that I actually do have the answers to some of those questions for tonight's show. And part of conspiracies and part of the history of conspiracies is psychological operations.
Perfect.
Do you know what psychological operations are?
Tell me.
PsyOps, as they call it in the Black Ops world. It's not even Black Ops, but in the special operations world, they have PsyOps. PsyOps is also a real thing. There's been some really insane psychological operations that have taken place. Most of those will never be talked about. We're going to talk about them a lot on this show, not specifically this episode, but we're going to get into one. How about this one, Anthony? How about this one? That there was a psychological operation to invent dolls for the Afghan kids of Osama bin Laden. And over time, bin Laden's face would melt into a demon's face to scare the shit out of all the kids.
I haven't heard this one yet.
That's a real operation. Here's another real operation that never took place, but it was presented to the president. It was presented to the Department of Defense. And this was to end the war in Iraq without firing a single shot. And what they planned to do was use holograms to chase Saddam Hussein out of Kuwait. They were going to use holograms to put up like almost a second coming of Muhammad. I'm not a Muslim, so I don't know. And that it would scare the regime out of the desert into hiding, and it would just send them into complete disarray. Now, what made this operation fall through was they couldn't get the audio right, but they had the holograms right. They didn't have the audio right. How about this for a psychological operation? Josh, our awesome producer. Maybe this might be an example of a psychological operation. Take a look at this.
Hi, I'm Fox San Antonio's Jessica Headley.
And I'm Ryan Wolf.
Our greatest responsibility is to serve our Treasure Valley communities,
the El Paso, Las Cruces communities,
Eastern Iowa communities,
Mid-Michigan communities.
We are extremely proud of the quality, balanced journalism that CBS 4 News produces.
But
we are concerned about troubling, irresponsible, one-sided news stories plaguing our country.
The sharing of biased and false news has become all too common on social media. More alarming, some media outlets publish these same fake stories without checking facts first.
The sharing of biased and false news
has become all too common on social media.
More alarming, some media outlets publish these same simply aren't true without checking facts first.
Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think. And this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
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 This is extremely
have the point. Would you say, Anthony, that this is a good example of a psyop?
Oh yeah, 100%. This is what is literally programming people all
dangerous to our democracy.
Who are they? Who are they, you ask? For all you non-believers out there, you say conspiracy theorists are crazy because there's always a they, and who is they? Well, I would say that they might be the same people who orchestrated the video that we just showed you, which was hundreds of news agencies from across the United States, all programmed to say the one thing. 6 companies control 90% of the media. Maybe it's they. Maybe it's those 6 companies Only 37 years ago, Anthony, you ready for a number that's going to blow your socks off?
Please.
37 years ago, there were 50 companies in charge of media. 50 companies that were in charge of America's media. Now, there are only 6. AT&T, CBS, Comcast, Disney, News Corp, and Viacom. And those 6 companies, if you wanted to have a day, if they all conspired to get their way, they could, for maybe it's for financial reasons. Maybe somebody
100%.
offered these 6 men a lot of money to say one thing. So maybe it's not these 6 guys who are the they, but maybe it's a CIA PSYOPs operative. Maybe it's a general in special operations who's been tasked with this PSYOPs. Now, PSYOPs and special operations and dark operations and classified operations do exist, and we're going to cover them in length in this show. Operations such as Project Stargate. Now, Anthony, let me ask you this. Do you believe in psychics?
So, yes and no. Like, are we talking about like Miss Cleo psychic, or remember calling
Let
me
me
for
ask you
your
this.
reading?
You look like the guy that's been to a psychic. You've been to a psychic, haven't
I have indeed. I have.
you?
been
You
to a
have
psychic
indeed. I
because
knew
I-
it.
what does
Did
that
you
mean?
believe it?
I mean, it made me feel like she was a medium. So it made me feel like, and not the Whoopi Goldberg one from the movie Ghost, but like, I mean, it made me feel at peace for whatever it is that I went there for.
Oh, so you did find peace. You did find
Because
what you're looking for.
I feel that I made myself believe that she actually connected to the person.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
It does make sense. Well, I will tell you this. Skeptic or not, the government believed that psychics could exist because they spent $20 million on Project Stargate, which was a project where they hired and tried to teach psychics and remote viewers to see the future and to have outer body basically experiences into other places. And this project went on up until 1995 when allegedly they shut the project down. Allegedly shut the project down, but it's been declassified. We will cover Project Stargate and remote viewing in depth in a later episode. But if you don't think that there are other things afoot, if there's other projects afoot that the world doesn't know about, well, then you, my friend, are the one who is in La La Land, not the conspiracy theorist. You have to believe that these conspiracies do exist because they do exist. There are many, many, many conspiracies that have happened, and you can't take that back. And we're going to go over all of them on this show throughout the season. One of those being MK Ultra. We also have where we'll also dive into the Dalai Lama's impressive salary. That's a real thing. And one day the First Lady actually ran the country. That's another conspiracy that actually happened and the American people were lied to. Obviously, we have JFK that hasn't been proven. That's just a theory. But then we have the Dead Baby Project, which actually happened as well. And if you want to laugh at crazy conspiracy theories, this was one that the government was actually stealing parts of dead bodies because they needed young tissue. And so they recruited a worldwide network of agents to find recently deceased babies and children. And then they took samples of their limbs that they collected without notification or permission of more than 1,500 grieving families. And they were caught doing this. They were caught red-handed stealing baby parts.
God,
without
dark.
consent. This really happened.
It's dark, bro.
It is dark.
And where
So to
where
say
was
that you
where
don't
was
believe
this
in
done?
conspiracies- We'll jump into it. I didn't really
Yeah.
put all of that out because that's not
Okay.
this one. But
Because
it
I
was
mean,
it
just
was
like
called
everybody else,
Project-
I'm on edge of my seat,
I know.
right?
I know you are. The project was called Project Sunshine. If you want to jump ahead and you want to get ahead of us, you can look up Project Sunshine. But if you want to be lazy and not do your own research, give us about 4 or 5 weeks, and we will have a entire episode on Project Sunshine and what happened to these 1,500 babies. Look, I'm a man of 5 children. I can't
Yeah,
imagine if one of them died and somebody stole their body parts and used them for a real government study. And now, by the way, I do know enough that they were studying the effects of radiation on human tissue. So maybe they had good intentions. Maybe.
Well, I believe that they're using babies' bodies up until now for things.
Well, we do know that Sandra Bullock, not a theory, but Sandra Bullock does use penis facials from the foreskins of Asian children, as she stated herself on the Ellen DeGeneres show. You can go on YouTube. That is a real thing that happened. She went on
Oh, that's
Ellen,
a whole
and she
other
talked about her penis facials.
Did you just say penis facial? I mean, if somebody just popped in right now and they heard you just say, "What did I just walk into?" Penis facials. Something
You look
else
like
we
the
will.
kind of guy. You look like the kind of guy who's had a penis facial or two.
I'm just gonna eat my. I got Reese's here. You guys might see me snacking throughout the season. If I do, just mind your own business. One thing that we do have to touch on though too is, and I saw it a couple times in the chat. Project. Somebody said foreskin facials. I can't do it. Project Bluebeam, which is kind of like. I feel like the same thing that you said that they did with Osama bin Laden with the whole.
Yeah, the Saddam Hussein hologram in the
That's
air.
our
and that
it's
kind
like their
proves the
Project
point to
Bluebeam.
Project Bluebeam. Project Bluebeam was a Serge Monstrat from Canada, and Serge met with a NASA employee allegedly who came about with this grandiose story in I believe it was 1995. Something like that, 1993, 1995, 96, somewhere in that time frame, that the government, or they, as we like to call it on the show that everybody hates, they were going to launch thousands of satellites into space, and that eventually everybody on the planet would have a device in their pocket that would be able to transmit audio. And one day there would be a massive hologram used by these thousands of satellites projecting audio through devices that the normal common man would carry in their pocket, such as a pen or something, which we now know is cell phones. And who launched thousands of satellites into space in the last 5 years? Who's the they there? Maybe Project
Well, I mean,
Starlink.
Elon's got this what is it? Starlink?
Starlink.
People are posting videos, right? Just on the tail of this whole alien sighting conspiracy, 9-foot tall men showing up in people's backyards and stuff. You have people posting videos of, they're like, oh my God, they say it's Starlink, but is it? Or is it just a really big UFO? I don't know. Will you ever be able to go check it out?
What is it?
I don't know.
We're gonna
Or
find
is
out on
Elon
this.
the alien? Is he
Or
the
is
kingpin?
Elon a part of a government psyop? And I'm glad you brought that up, because my next question would be why? Anthony, why would the government want to do these things? Let me go ahead and the art of war, being a veteran myself and a student in the art of war, the art of war says that all warfare is based on deception. Hence, when able to attack, we must seem that we are unable to attack. When using our forces, we must seem inactive. When we are near, when we are close to the enemy, we must make the enemy believe that we are far away. And when we are far away, we must make him believe that we are near. So hold out baits to entice the enemy, feign disorder, and crush him. So even the art of war says that the whole art of warfare is based, all warfare is based on deception. And so we must always be deceiving. And so if the government, if the rich elite, if the new world order, if we were the enemy of the new world order, then their warfare must be based on deception.
It's all distractions too. I mean, this is all for distraction. All of it.
All of it.
Anytime. And when you're, and sorry, but when you're awake, guys, when you finally, if you're not, like Eric had said at the beginning, if you don't believe in conspiracies, that's okay. It's fun to just imagine for a minute. But when you finally start to notice, like the NCP people that are just fillers, They're not real situations, simulation. When you wake up and realize that this is the stuff that's actually, I'm telling you, your life is going to change. Why do you think I'm eating Reese's right now? Because this is great.
What are you at the movie theaters right now?
Yeah, it's a show. This is all a show.
How many snacks did you sneak into this theater?
Oh, well, listen, I will bring a whole grill into a movie theater and start grilling in the back seat.
You're probably the guy that tries to sneak in like full wine bottles and just drinks straight from the wine bottle in the middle of the movie. And everybody else is like, is that guy? Is he got a fucking wine bottle? Does he have he's drinking a whole wine bottle in the wine?
And I turn around, mind your business.
Dude, first time I met my first date I went on with my wife, I took her to Chili's and then I took her to Passion of the Christ. And we were sitting in the Passion of the Christ and she pulls out a 750 milliliter wine bottle straight out of her purse. Then grabs a bottle opener right in the theater.
Starts corking
right as the trailers of Passion of the Christ are starting. Pops it open. I swear it's a packed house.
Right.
Some bigot next to us is like, "Are you drinking wine at Passion of the Christ?" And she took the bottle straight to the face like a porn star, right in the middle of probably one of the most powerful movies of all time. And yes, if you're asking, did I seal the deal on the first date after the movie? Shamefully, the answer is yes.
I mean, how can you go to a movie and not after?
I'm just kidding. I did not take my wife's virginity after seeing Passion of the Christ. It was after Twilight. So,
well, there you go. I feel so much better about that. Thank you.
Calm down, everybody. Well, let me give you a brief history, if you will. Allow me to give you a some people think conspiracy theory, the term was actually a conspiracy in itself. Are you familiar with this, Anthony? That the term conspiracy theory is actually a conspiracy, that the CIA invented the term conspiracy theory to write off those who may have questioned the events of the JFK assassination.
Of course. Are we surprised by it? Yeah, but I'm not surprised about that.
Right.
Anytime somebody doesn't want you to know the truth about something, you're crazy, you're psycho, you got to go. You're out.
Well, the funny thing about it was when this happened originally, it was the left who had questions about the JFK assassination, and it was the right. It was mainly the senior Bush who coined the term or was kind of pushing it out, similar to the PSYOP we just showed you, whereas if we say it enough, if we have enough media outlets saying it enough, it will catch wildfire. And so the term was kind of brought back from the dead during the JFK assassination to make the lefties look like they were crazy people. No, the right would never, ever get rid of a president because of an industrial military complex, where now, because of what we know about the industrial military complex and the declassified documents that were released on December 17th of 2022, and we're going to discuss those on later episodes, you will find that maybe those lefties weren't so cuckoo.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there was definitely a party switch. So I feel that, but not to get too political about it. Now they've labeled the right to be conspiracy theorists because it's not fitting the government's narrative. So then at that time, it was the lefties who were crazy because they believed in this. And now the right. And at that time, they did not have social media to research stuff, and they didn't create a generation of podcasters and independent journalists. Now everyone's getting down these rabbit holes, and that's where we're like, okay, one thing leads to another. This reopening cases, it kind of mixes with, the whole paranormal thing as well. So it's like a whole world of, oh my gosh. So
You've got me looking over my shoulder right now.
Are you scared?
There's something over my shoulder.
There's something in the corner.
There's something out there. There's something out there. Listen, on January 30th, 1835. That would have made you about 6 years old, right? 1835?
6 years old.
About 6 years old. Yeah. Andrew Jackson. He was at a congressman's funeral, a dead congressman's funeral, when an assassin pops out of the bush, draws his weapon, points it at Andrew Jackson, pulls the trigger, and the weapon doesn't fire. So he reaches in and grabs another weapon, a secondary weapon, points it at Andrew Jackson, pulls the trigger. It also fails. Jackson and several bystanders subdue the psycho. And he, at the time, this would-be killer was an unemployed house painter, a house painter that had no houses to paint. How many houses did he have to paint? 0 fucking houses. His name was Richard Lawrence. He was later informed that interrogators that he was actually King Richard III. That he was hired by King Richard III to kill. He was King Richard III, and that Andrew Jackson had killed his father. They made him insane. They committed him. There was no way that he was King Richard III, and Jackson did not, in fact, kill his father. But that was the official story. But it wasn't long before 2 witnesses filed affidavits claiming to have seen Mr. Lawrence at the home of Mississippi Senator George Poindexter. Poindexter was the opponent to Jackson, and a pro-Jackson newspaper accused the senator of plotting the president's murder. So this is kind of like the first real American conspiracy theory that kind of hit. This was, before Abraham Lincoln, obviously. And so this is when they were like, wait a minute, this doesn't make sense. This unemployed painter with 2 guns tries to kill this guy because he believed that Andrew Jackson killed his father and that he was, in fact, King Richard III. This doesn't make any sense in 1835. But then all of a sudden somebody says, wait a minute, that's the guy? That's that Lawrence guy? That's the dude? We saw him at the Mississippi Senator's house not too long ago. If he's an unemployed painter, wackadoodle, why is he hanging out with Andrew Jackson's direct competition? And here we have the start of conspiracy theories.
I never knew that. Dun, dun, dun.
I have a feeling
Thank you
that in the course of this year, you and I are going to learn a lot of things that we didn't know.
Yeah, 100%, because we both started digging even more on stuff, and I'm just, with the current climate and everything that's going on, and then the things that we knew from before and the things that we talk about, it's just crazy. Also, I'm super into spooky stuff, so I'm really excited for October.
Well, I think that a lot of the spooky stuff really spins off of all the conspiracy theories, because some of the spooky things that we're going to talk about on the show do, in fact, come from psychological operations in order to scare people out of certain areas. Maybe Bigfoot is really just a conspiracy. Maybe aliens are a conspiracy. What do we know about exorcism? And what role does the Catholic Church have in exorcisms? Could that tie in to all of this? I don't know, but we are going to find out. And I have a feeling, Anthony, that if we're going to be real journalists, because we know that journalism is dead, the Failure to Stop podcast channel, which is a bunch of wannabe first responder journalists to keep first responders informed without the use of mainstream media, they will tell you all the time that journalism is dead, and it is up to guys like you and I to kind of do our own Reader's Digest style of journalism. And so I feel like if we're going to be real pretend fake journalists, you and I are going to have to actually visit these locations and live out some of these events.
Okay. I'm a wimp, though. I'm going to go.
You've got me to protect you. You've got me to protect you.
I'm going to be dramatic.
I've had a lot of training. I will carry a gun with me at all times, but I feel like
you can't shoot a ghost, bro.
Tell that to Major Payne. Tell that to Major Payne. If he's in there, he's not happy. But yes, you and I are going to go visit lots of things. We have to get some research facilities, such as Skunk Ape Research Facility down in Florida.
Yeah.
Put together a live show there. You and I are going to have to head out to the Grand Canyon to explore some Grand Canyon deaths that are questionable. We're going to have to go look at some rivers that Jimmy Hoffa may or may not be inside of. We're going to talk to some mafiosos, some mafia men who did 20 years in prison. We're going to talk to him because he knows where Jimmy Hoffa was was at, and we might just have to get up with some other social media influencers who have the capabilities of fishing things out of rivers. But I feel like there's a lot of rabbit holes that you and I are going to have to dive down into, whether it be paranormal, whether it be facing the mafia, facing ghosts, facing aliens, facing Bigfoot or the skunk ape. You and I, Operation Night Shift Top Secret Information. That's what we were put on this earth to do, Anthony.
Yeah, I agree. And the cool thing is that when we go to these things and these different locations stuff, I'm going to let you guys know. So if you're in the general area, we'll do a whole meetup day. Y'all can come out, right? We talked about that. I think our first one might be the Bigfoot thing.
Yeah, it's actually going to be skunk ape, possibly. Down in the Naples area. So,
what's the difference between Bigfoot and skunk ape? I'm so sorry. Can you just explain?
Skunk ape is a stinkier, nastier version of Bigfoot, only found in the swamps of the Everglades of Florida. It's very stinky things. I have a date for you and I, a heterosexual date, because I know that you're a married man and I'm a married man. You just haven't been married to a man. It's a woman.
We're actually not married, but it's okay. We've been together for 13 years, so common law.
Yeah, common law.
Yeah.
Together forever. But you and I are going to have a heterosexual date except I'm going to be heterosexual. You're going to be homosexual.
It'll be a bisexual.
Jesus.
God, stay focused.
We're going to have a bisexual date at the Skunk Ape Research Facility in Naples, Florida here in the coming weeks. And we couldn't do that without our sponsors, ghostbed.com/Wolfpack. It sleeps so good. It's scary. Woo! And what a better sponsor to have. We couldn't have a better sponsor than ghostbed.com. These are beds that are made with cooling technology so that when you get hot as shit searching for the skunk ape, like Anthony does every single day in Florida, in the swamps of Florida, those beds are going to keep you cool, baby. They also have the cooling sheets. They have the cooling pillows. Listen, I can't travel. I travel on the weekend. I am flying around this country, driving around this country every other weekend, and I can't just pack up my ghost bed. But what I can pack up is my ghost bed pillow, and it's a little piece of home. I do not travel without my ghost bed pillow, and it gives me that sleep. I say mental wellness starts with a good night's sleep, and that is why we are proud to partner with a company like GhostBed. So right now, head over to ghostbed.com/Wolfpack and get you 40% off right now. They have the adjustable base, the cooling technology. They have
I like that.
Listen, 0% down, 0% financing, and that's if you have Bigfoot credits. That's if you have Joe Biden's economy credit.
Oh, Lord.
And that was the last ad read that we ever did for GhostBed.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not right. I'm not wrong. They can't fire me for not being truthful. Factor Meals, factormeals.com. These are chef-made meals delivered right to your door, always fresh, never frozen. Over 300 menu options to choose from. They come in a little nice tray in a box. You can get 3 meals a week. You can get 5 meals a week. You can get 7 meals a week. You can pick the calorie-conscious meals, the protein-heavy meals, whatever fits your diet, and then you don't have to eat like a peasant at your office room. So why all of your office friends have their 6-day-old spaghetti and meatballs and the Playtex or the Pyrex dishes, whatever they are, that take 30 minutes to heat because they're trying to save the environment, right? Use plastic where it takes 1 minute, and that way we don't have to run the electricity for 20 minutes to eat your fucking food. I love it how people are like, I've got my environmentally safe Pyrex dish. Yeah, it takes 20 minutes to heat up that spaghetti in there. What's better for the environment? I don't know. You tell me. 6 eggs in one basket.
Not
6 in
China.
the other. I don't know. China. But these Factor meals are incredible. Salmon. They have chicken, ranch bacon chicken. They have vegan options. They have it all. And they only take 2 minutes, even in the Walmart microwaves that you might find at every single cubicle office environment. You can still heat these bad boys up in 2 minutes, and you can laugh at all your friends eating the PB&Js, the Spam and Honeys, and the bologna sandwiches. Go to factormeals.com. I don't know how they compete with the grocery stores, to be honest with you. Factormeals.com, promo code Wolfpack50, and that's going to get you 50% off of 7 free meals. It's a week's worth of meals. Plus, they have the little protein shakes and breakfast shakes. You cannot get away from those. None of these things, these travel opportunities, all the things that we are doing, we could not do those without the help of our sponsors. So please support us by supporting them, because the more you support them, the more they pay us, and the more we're able to entertain you and all the first responders and veterans out there and do these meetups and all these other things. Anthony, Conservative Anthony, you do political commentary. It's now time in that show where our listeners on episode 1 learn just a little bit about the two of us. You are a broadcast media graduate. You are a political commentary spokesperson. You're a comedian. Tell us, how did you get into all of that?
I got into all of this because I'm bored. That's it. Good night. No, I'm just kidding. I got into it just
fuck you factor.
I was pissed off, like everybody else was, man. And I grew up in a family that was always ball busters. I've always been kind of a little bit of a drama queen. So, once the pandemic hit and I started to be locked down and scroll on TikTok and stuff and then get pissed off, I posted videos and boom, here we are. Hi. Conservative.
You've grown quite the following. You're at 289,000 on Instagram, over 600,000 on your second TikTok. And you also have a growing YouTube channel. And you wanted to take your path into podcasting. And so, luckily that I know a guy that does podcasting. We're able to get you on the network for the first show. A little bit about myself. I am a special operations veteran. I did spend 7 years in the military, and I did spend some of that time in special operations, on the support side of special operations, but nonetheless, special operations. I am airborne paratrooper. I am a combat veteran. And fucking thank you for my service.
Thank you.
But I've been around some of the spooky things. I've been around some CIA operatives, some PSYOPs operatives, and my business partner may or may not be a tier 1 special operator in the special forces. And so I have been around the community for the better half of 17 years. And I fell into podcasting because I left the police force and started a distillery, and then was offered a job on a major network to do a little bit of comedy and a little bit of podcasting. And now I do comedy and podcasting and own a distillery. And I'm so happy to join up with you, Conservative Ant. You're Conservative Ant on Instagram, and is that TikTok as well?
All platforms. You can find me on Conservative Ant on all platforms. I wanted to keep it just easy.
Yeah, for sure. Now, let me ask you
easy.
Yeah, of course you are. Of course you are. First time I met you, I said, this guy's easy. This guy's as easy as Britney Spears. And by easy Britney Spears, I just mean I know what's coming next. I have some Tanstradamus predictions. And
Oh my God.
come to light. I knew she was going to leave this guy.
I know.
OnlyFans is next, and then the overdose comes.
You
straight
think?
after. Yes.
I don't even think it's her if we really want to go into
conspiracy theories. Now,
Yeah.
are you a Jamie Foxx non-believer
That's
as well?
not
Jamie
him.
Foxx is dead as well?
That motherfucker back there is not real. That is not Jamie
real.
Foxx. Sorry.
That is not Jamie Foxx. Well,
No.
I'm sure we'll dive into that at some point.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Prove it, Jamie Foxx. Come on our show and prove it.
Somebody asked me to keep my legs closed. Wow. What a crowd. I love this place. This is so fun.
Now, let me ask you this. What is your favorite conspiracy?
Oh. The Hollywood conspiracy for me is pretty deep. If you start going down that rabbit hole, man, if you start to see who's really connected and the red bottom shoe or the red shoe conspiracy, and it goes deep and deep and deep. That's my first one. I've always been into aliens. I think I was abducted when I was like 7. I don't know. Maybe I'll tell you guys the story one day. Super traumatizing.
And that's why he's gay. They probed him and he was like,
no, wait.
That's fucking awesome.
Hold
that
on.
was awesome.
Hold
I'm
up.
so
Wait
gay
a
now.
minute. It was God. I was not probed. Okay, it was not a probe situation. It was just like, all right. Well, listen.
Look, is it gay if it's an alien? Is it gay if it's an alien?
Not at all. It's for science, Eric. It's all for science. And so when we probe you on one of the shows, that's also going to be for science. Okay. It's not.
Wait, that's all. That's all it is. That's not that big. That's not as big as I thought it was
if
going
you
to be.
say it's for science, just remember that. Everybody remember that. Aunt told you. Put on a shirt. I think it would be really cool if we like went to like just the brink of Area 51 and then caught me running the other way through the desert. I think that would be really fun.
I think we need to make that happen for sure. Listen, balls for you in the live chat says Ant is demand. Obviously, balls for you is going to say that. We also have College Papers, who wants to thank you for my service. You're welcome, College Papers. When you sleep tonight, I want you to only dream of my service. Ben Allen, aka the history of Sam Tripoli, Eddie Bravo, and Alex Jones. Last known president is in the chats. Murph 530 is in the live chats on the YouTubes. If you're one of our YouTube listeners, although 99% of our fellowship will be listeners, we always want to take time at the end of the show to address the people who are watching us on the YouTubes and our paid subscribers. If you want to be a paid member, you can join the Patreon account, and you can join the YouTube account, the paid YouTube account at Failure to Stop. And under the Patreon, you will see there will be a section on Patreon for Anthony and myself for you to go over there. And we are going to give you like follow-up investigation stuff. We might have some follow-up guests on the Patreon, on Anthony and I's Patreon. We might bring on some, just some things that might not tie into the show, but it's worth the extra content. So you definitely want to get a hold of it. And plus, the Failure to Stop podcast Patreon has so much content on there right now with 6 different hosts. It's well worth the money. It's worth way more money than any of the other podcasts because there's 6 hosts on there putting content out almost every single day. Casey Anthony Defense Team. I don't even know how to say that name.
Casey Anthony's Defense.
Oh, Casey Anthony's Defense Team. Well played.
If you're easily offended, by the way, this ain't the show for you.
This ain't the show. You can just fuck right off.
Oh my God, last known president. Jeez.
What did they say? What did last known president say?
I don't
suck my own. I don't suck my own. I mean, do you want to say that? Sure, show.
I don't want to suck. Maybe I do. I don't know. Maybe I will.
Listen, if I
BRB, it'll be on Patreon. No, I'm just kidding. No, what I was gonna say is
suck my own dick. I would
I'd
never
never
living at home with my
leave
parents.
the house. Yeah.
I would have a beard. I'd be super fat. I'd have a beer gut.
No, so what's really cool too, guys, is like Eric and I plan on doing a lot of like in-person collab stuff. So a lot of that blooper stuff and like, different videos that we do might be on there as well. We'll do like exclusive stuff for just the Patreon. No, not spicy. So before you start putting peppers in the comment section, I don't want to hear it.
Listen, if you want more from the Failure to Stop podcast channel, the next show tonight, because tonight was a two for Thursday, we have Com Center, which are 2 dispatchers who are going to play horrific 911 audio. They do hilarious call-ins. Sometimes that show is super funny, and sometimes it is the most depressing thing you've ever heard, but it is always entertaining. And one of my go-to shows every weekend. It goes to audio on Saturdays, live on Thursday nights, right here on the Failure to Stop podcast channel. So tune in at 8 o'clock for Com Center. It's coming up next. There's a call-in show. They're going to run the phone number really quick. So if you want to call and leave them a message, you can. What I want you guys to look out for here on the audio world is that Sunday, this will drop to audio on the Night Shift TSI podcast link. And you will go to Night Shift TSI on Sunday, and we're going to hype this all up. And you're going to give Anthony and I a 5-star rating and review so that we can try to make it onto the iTunes charts. And then also, if you are new to the program, if you're one of Anthony's fans, head over to Failure to Stop podcast and give them a 5-star rating or review, because those are the guys out there doing the Lord's work for all their first responders, keeping them informed and entertained 5 days a week, keeping them awake in their squad cars. So you don't have to pay any money. It's free. Just go leave them a 5-star rating and review. Listen, you have a lot of fans, Conservative Anthony. Is there anybody that you want to shout out here at the end of the show before we let everybody go tonight?
There's so many. There's no way that I would shout out somebody, just one person specifically, but I do want us to put Ben Allen's comment up on the screen real quick, because he's already done the science. He already knows exactly what the whole situation entails. So in case you were wondering, I've heard it feels more like you're sucking than getting sucked. So he's already done it. Thank you, Ben. Everybody knows now. No, really it always amazes me how many amazing people really are on all of our networks and how much they've all intertwined. And you and I didn't even know that until we connected and we're like, oh my God, you're funny. Oh my God, you're funny. We both loved each other.
And we made out.
Each other. We made out. And
you're
then,
like, I'm like, you're so funny. You're like, you're so funny. I'm like, no, you're so funny. No.
And we're like, oh, and now we like FaceTime. And now we FaceTime and we like fall asleep. It's so good. But it's amazing, huh?
I'm like,
if somebody wants, listen, I'm notorious for my big blow up phone, which I don't have it in studio right now. But when Eric comes to studio, maybe he can help me put up like a little shelf so I can have the blow up phone behind. That'd be cute. Or get a phone.
I'll do it, but you can't be that gay when I do it. You have to say cool. Eric, that's real cool.
Cool.
That's real cool, bro. Slam it to a Slim Jim. You're so fucking heterosexual. Oh God.
Oh my God, I love doing heterosexual shit. Truth be told, for anybody that is listening that doesn't know me, I'm a super huge badge bunny. Hold on.
He supports the police, is what he wants to say. He's gonna virtue signal how much he supports police right now.
Don't pull me over.
Listen, I got a sticker that I got for you that one of our fans sent, and I'm sure it's for you because everybody knows that you're coming on. But it says, "Only gay cops pull me over."
I need this.
Yeah, so I will be bringing it down to Florida in the next week or so.
Yeah, because I want if the cop isn't gay, he needs to sashay to the car at least.
You can put this on your Subaru.
I'm not a lesbian, bro.
Subaru.
I'm not a lesbian. Do a Subaru.
What do gay dudes drive? What do fucking gay dudes drive?
In Florida, Jeep Wranglers.
No, is it like the earring where you just have like the right side door off?
Yeah.
Remember the 90s gay?
Wrong door, bro. Wrong door. I'm like manly. I'm like a Southern boy now. I have a big F-150. Like I have a truck.
Are you serious?
But
yeah, big F-150.
I drive around with my cowboy hat and shit. No, but come to find out, now Ford's gay too, I guess. So it kind of fits the bill.
What was it? Was it the Ford commercial where they're in the mud and they're racing each other and then they spray the cars off and one's like wrapped in like rainbow flag?
Something like that. But like, if we want to go down that road, I mean, so we were supposed to get rid of our cars, our trucks now. Like, listen, that's a whole other day, like a whole other time we could talk about that. But at the end of the day,
that's a Patreon show.
That's a Patreon show. Ford's gay now. So just so you know. And I drive it. How you doing?
Hey guys, we really appreciate you joining us on the journey to find the truth, to dive down the rabbit hole together. This is going to be such an adventure. 2 6-month seasons. At least that's the goal. We've got one 6-month season for sure. Hopefully we can we're good enough and we can keep going for another 6 months. But we have a great plan for the next year for you guys if all works out well. And we hope that you guys stick around. There's going to be things, right? You got to be flexible. We're going to start a new social media page for this show called Night Shift TSI. So we'll have all the conspiracy theory documents and things that we couldn't show on the show that we'll put them over there. And we might have a YouTube channel that's inside of the Photoshop channel, or we don't know. That's all on the producers and all the powers that be, mainly Drew Breezy, because he runs the YouTube channels and all those things. But we're really excited to do all these things for you guys, and we hope that you enjoy it. It's all in good fun. It's all for entertainment. And our number one goal is to keep the folks on night shift awake, looking over their shoulder, a little bit paranoid, so that they can get home to their families when the sun comes up and set them free. From myself, Eric Tansey, and Anthony Raimondi at Conservative Ant on the social media webs. Until next time.